All right, so I've got my upper Z-bar all screwed in. So now I need to see how much I need to finish off. So it's 106.25 to from the bottom of the roof to that Z-bar, but I want to have a 2-inch overlap so I can tuck this Z-bar in behind that one. And so 108.25. So let's go fabricate that, and while we're there, we'll fabricate the first piece of the Gable flash, and I'll go grab the camera from where you are, and I'll bring it down here and I'll show you how I measure out this edge so it turns out to be kind of a real nice finish. So how I'm finishing off the edge of this gable trim is when it comes down, I want it to fold down so it covers up. You don't see the raw edge, you don't see the Z-bar and whatnot. So, you know, this is kind of a little bit of a complicated cut here. So how I ended up measuring out your Z-bar is coming down. It's going to turn down 90 degrees right here. So this first piece, it's a 1 3/4 inch high roof. So I'm turning down 2 inches, so it hangs down just a hair below the bottom of the roof right here. And then you'll need to notch back here, and that amount is 1 3/4 inch back. And then you'll come down the rest of the way at a 34-degree angle, which equates to I have an 8 12 roof. So if I go from the 8 12 and I need a vertical line, that's a 34-degree cut. So so I'll need to add the 2 inches at the end to fold down, and from where that point folds down, I need to come back 1 3/4 inch, and then I'll strike down a 34-degree line and cut that out and fold it up, and it'll look all nice and pretty. So let's go do that over at the fabricating table. So I think I talked about it earlier when I was making the upper piece of Z-bar. Your lower piece of Z-bar, when you finish down near the edge of the roof, if you've got that extended eave like I do, where that roofing panel hooks on the extended eave at the bottom, you definitely want to hold this screw hole up a little bit. If you put it way down in the end, you're going to end up drilling right through that extended eave, and you're going to see that coming out the bottom of your roof where that extends out. So like I said, I think I mentioned it before, but it's worth saying again so you don't make that mistake. Hold this one up 3-4 inches at the bottom of the roof. All right, back to the task at hand. So this is the downhill side of my flashing. So the first thing I need to make is I want that 2-inch piece that's going to turn over the very end. So I'm going to come up, or I'm going to come back 2 inches, and I'm going to mark the top there, and then I'll square that off across the top of my gable flash. That's going to be my fold. And then I want a tab right here that I'll be able to curl back around, so I have a good finished edge right here, which you'll see in a minute. So and that tab I'm going to make 1 7/8 down, just because when you fold this over, you lose just a little bit. So I'm going to come down 1 7/8. And then I'm going to square that line back, and I'm going to go a little bit farther, because back here I need my angle cut coming back this way to match the bottom. So all right, let me put a mark 2 inches back, so that's where that is going to fold. And then I have to come back 1 3/4 inches because that was my overhang for the extended eave. So that's where that is. And now from here down, I need that 34-degree angle to plumb up the, have a plumb cut on the fascia down below. So got my framing square here, and I'm going to set it for the, you can either use the 8 and 12 number, or you can use 34 degrees, whichever you choose. And then I got my line. So I'm going to end up cutting out this section like this, and I'll end up cutting along the top, and then we'll do some folding. All right, so before I fold this piece back, I want to peel the plastic because I'm going to fold that under, and then the top part is going to fold over this, and I don't want that plastic trapped under there. It's hard to get out once you do, fold the other piece over and then put a pop rivet in. So I got that peeled back beyond my 2-inch mark, and then I just have this sitting on the very edge of this plywood, and then I'm going to fold it over the edge of that plywood. All right, and the reason I'm doing that is when I fold this piece down, you won't have an air gap here. So when you look at this edge, you'll still see a, the metal making the corner. If I had just cut this off, when these two pieces come together, one, I don't have anything. I want to put a pop rivet in there to hold this nice and tight. So that's what this tab is for. And then two, you don't have daylight coming through here. So you'll have a nice tight corner, and it'll look nice at the same time. All right, so same thing again here. I'm going to put a little notch right here where I need to fold on this side, just so it helps me get a little cleaner fold. And you don't have to go in very far, just enough to give you a tight corner there. And then I'm going to do the same thing and just fold it over the edge of the plywood. All right. So let me move the camera around and you can see what the finish looks like on that. So when this is all said and done and it's pop riveted closed, it'll look something like that. So now you can kind of see what I was talking about by having the fold under there. Just kind of closes that up nicely. And then I'm going to stick a pop rivet, kind of centered right in here. So let me do that. All right, let's drill a pop rivet in here. So I'm just trying to get everything lined up nice and tight. Gotta watch your fingers on that. Twice in my sheet metal career I've drilled into my finger, not paying attention, too much of a hurry or something like that, so be careful of that. Come on. There we go. All right, there's the finished edge. And next thing I need to do is put some telescope notches down at that end for a 2-inch overlap, and then we'll open up the hems so they hook on the cleat and on the Z-bar nicely. So there's several different ways you could do telescope notches. What I found that would work best for me was I'm just coming in 2 inches, and I'm marking it right in the drip edge fold, and then same thing up here on the top. And then what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to cut it right along this drip edge fold, and I'm also going to cut it right along the this fold, which is pretty much a 1/2 inch in. So I'll cut that in and to the 2-inch end point, and then square it off and square it off. All right, so the purpose behind these telescope notches is the next piece up the hill can now slide over this, and they will butt up right here and right here, and they'll lay nicely on top of each other. So I've seen other people do these at a bigger angle, but I just found that taking that 1/2 inch was enough for the purpose of this flashing goes. I think some of the manufacturers, they'll show that they come up even farther, and I think the idea is if it's at an angle, if you're not quite straight, when you push them together, that angle will move the flashing and get it to fall right into the right spot when you butt up to these corners. So the last part of the fabrication for this gable trim before we go back up to the roof, I want to open up both of these seams. The drip edge needs to be opened up so that it'll hook on the cleat, and then this top edge needs to be opened up so it can hook on the Z-bar. Like I said earlier, you don't necessarily have to hook this. I just particularly like the look. I think it's stronger. I'm still going to put the pop rivets in like the manufacturer wants, but I basically have double the strength, I guess, per se. It's a little more tedious because you have to be perfect with your Z-bar to make sure it goes fits inside the hem, but it also avoids seeing the primer showing underneath this. So and how I go about opening up these seams, if you have like a wide pry bar of some sort, you can get in there. A screwdriver would work, but the problem is if you end up twisting the screwdriver, you might see that on the outside. So what I found through trial and error was I'm using one of the roofing clips that hold the actual roof panels down, and I'm using this edge here, and it's got these bump ups, and these bumps are designed so the roof floats over the screws that you put in this when you put the next piece of panel down. But those bump outs open up these seams nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll just run this along and get these seams opened up, and I'll bring you back when I'm done. So I decided to give you a shot. You can see where that clip is under there, and these dimples on the clip are actually lifting up the hem here. So I just go ahead and slide it down, and as I'm doing it, I'm also kind of pulling up on it, so it actually lifts the hem just a little bit more. All right, so I got my other piece of Z-bar in, and now I'm going to get the gable end flashing, and I'm going to hook it on here, and I'm going to hook it on here, and then I'm going to slide it up the gable end till we stop here at the end. So I'll set the camera up there high, and hopefully you can get a shot of that. All right, here we go. All right, so I'm hitting on the where the Z-bars overlap. So I'm going to come up there and get that other Z-bar tucked in. And I'll slide it the rest of the way up. All right, we'll get this Z-bar overlap tucked in, and we'll slide it up, and we'll keep coming the rest of the way up the hill until, and I think we're there at the end. So let's go back down to that end, and we'll finish it off. I'm going to put a pop rivet right here on the side. I'll get this pushed up so the drip edge is lined up with the drip edge fold on the cleat. And I'm just going to put a pop rivet in there just to hold this in place. But before I do that, I want to confirm that I look good down at that end. And I'm going to put a pop rivet down there, and I'll show you that as well. Sorry about the glare. Let's see if I can... But we got a nice finish here. We're right at the end of the roof. Our 34-degree angle finishes right here at the corner of the fascia boards. So I'm going to make sure this is pushed up nice, and that cleat is hooked in there. And I'm going to put a pop rivet right here just to hold it in place. So let me do that because I can't hold the camera and do all that at the same time. So I'll get that pop rivet in, and I'll just show you that at the end. All right, there we go. There is the finished corner. All the way around to the pop rivet. Sorry about the brightness there. So I'm not sure if it shows on the camera, but that upper part, it's not pushed up high enough to where the fold in the drip leg matches the fold in the cleat. And what ended up happening is that the gable flashing is at an angle. So I'm gonna go back up there. I'm gonna push that up so it's nice and flat, and then I'll put a pop rivet up there that is actually going to get hidden by the 2-inch overlap of the next piece up the hill. And there's that upper pop rivet just to hold this up so the folds match up. And when I bring in this upper piece, it's going to slide over. It'll line up right here, and I'm going to have sealant across here, and I will put a pop rivet here to hold it, and then of course all the pop rivets along the Z-bar, which the manufacturer wants. So let me get a measurement for the last piece to get up to the ridge, and then we'll go fabricate that. All right, I got my piece cut, and I confirmed that it fits. So on this one, I'm going to actually start on the top, and I'm going to slide it down. And when I get to where it overlaps, I'll go down there and add the sealant that I need to add down there. All right, I'm hitting down there at the overlap, so I'm going to go down there, add my sealant, and then pull it the rest of the way down. One of the things as I was sliding this down, I was holding it out just a little bit so it's not scratching the face of the piece that I already have in there. So just keep that in mind when you're doing that. So let me move the lift so I can get down to where I need to be to work on that section. All right, I've got my upper flashing just barely over the lower one, and I'm just going to add my sealant in here and push it down. You may get a little bit squirting out from pushing it down, but you can always wipe that clean, but at least you know it is sealed. All right, there we go. I'm going to try to push up on it a little bit, so maybe not so much of that sealant will come out. But we'll see how we do. There we go. Not bad. Little blob showing here, a little bit showing there, but other than that, that is looking darn good. All right, let me get the sealant off my gloves and then put a pop rivet in that, and then we'll go up at top and we'll finish that up. All right, that joint looks good. Now let's move up and we'll finish off the ridge. All right, now I'm gonna get a little sealant in here and then behind here. I can just open it enough probably to get the tip of that caulking gun in there. Definitely on the top. And we're good on the side too, since I had, whoops, clean up on aisle 3. Since I had left the cleat a little short on this end, I was able to pull it out. You can actually hear it just snapped back in. So I'm going to go ahead and put 2 pop rivets on the face, and I'm going to put one in the back here to hold that down, and then that'll squish out all of the sealant I just put in there. All right, let me get the sealant cleaned up off of that. And then we'll move on to the rivets, every 1 foot going down the inside where it's hooked over the Z-bar. So the last thing to finish off the gable trim is every foot coming up, I'm gonna put a pop rivet through the top, and it'll go through that Z-bar and then pop out the bottom, and that'll hold that nice and tight. I mean, right now there's a little motion because it's in that hem, but once it's in the pop rivet, that's going to be solid as anything. So let me get that, a pop rivet every foot going up the whole gable, and I'll show you what it looks like when we're done. All right, there you go. That's what it looks like. Nice row of rivets headed down the edge of the gable trim. So I'm going to wrap this video up at that point. Join me next time when I show you how to install the ridge flashing and how I tie it in under the panels at the far end over there. So hopefully this video was helpful to anyone who's putting gable trim on a metal roof. I want to thank you all for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.